Welcome to Skull Sessions. This is session number 2. I'm your host, Jimmy the Rabbit, and this is Molov.
Yo.
And today we'll be talking about New York Raid E17, which Molov's group has killed twice in the beta, right?
Or almost 3 times.
Almost 3 times, yeah. There's a 0.5% health left video, right?
Yeah, which like the boss was at less than 400 HP left without Wings debuff. So it's like we
so
messed
basically,
up.
you just
We
winged it,
messed
you would
up.
have killed it.
Yes, we messed up. I messed up, but yeah, it happens. You have to mess up first to then succeed. That's how it goes.
Yes, true. So I believe we had a list of topics to talk about. The first one we want to talk about was the target audience, right?
Yep. So just to put a little bit of context, yes, people might be interested about my bio for a bit in terms of gaming.
Sure.
Basically, I've been hardcore raiding in WoW. Hardcore doesn't really necessarily mean like 10 hours per day. What I mean is like hard mode and mythic raiding for like 6 years, I think, something like that. That's a lot within the same guild for 6 years.
Wow.
I know
Okay.
these people in real life. Like this is the guild or guilds. I mean, it's kind of inverted, but well, we all have T-shirts,
Nice,
in
nice.
a guild. Yeah, and it's been quite a ride, and I feel like raiding is something that I appreciate a lot. Not gonna explain why like MMORPGs usually have raiding, but it's a type of high-end activities that are very important because
Sure.
they unite people together. They create communities, they create cabals, they create advertisement even because in WoW you still have all first races and stuff.
Well, they create a reason to
And
keep playing.
exactly, even for people who aren't really raiding that much or not yet raiding that much, I mean, they can sort of look forward to something while they're gear up or while they're you know
Sure, sure.
progress their character. So here it is. Some technical difficulties. We
No, we're good.
apologize for the inconvenience. All right. As for the target audience of this raid, obviously, this is where I'm going towards. From what Nirvel said, the plan is to tune the raid or raiding content in general is and will be tuned around organized groups. There is
Right.
some room for interpretation, what these organized groups, to which degree, etc. That's something that Funcom rule out at the end, of course. But yeah, I think it's gonna like let's put it this way. Compared to dungeons, after the rebalance in the beta, dungeons are designed around people who randomly join together through the group finder without Discord, without vocal, and
Right.
they should still be able to complete the dungeon. That's
Except for
different,
maybe Penthouse.
maybe, but in general, that's the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
The raid is not like this. The raids are tuned around organized groups, people that know each other, people that played with each other a bit, and people who eventually use vocal communication.
Right, right.
That's it. Here we go. Next, the topic, or do you have some
Yeah,
some
no.
things to
I
add?
mean, I think that's accurate. I think that's accurate. The no raid should be intended around 10 people, just except for the story mode, I guess. Although that's
That's not a
technically
raid. Can we say it's a raid?
it's still possible to fail.
Yeah.
Like it might not seem like it is, but I've seen it done. I've seen people do it.
I'm not gonna challenge you in this area. I believe you.
Yeah, I took
Right.
an alt. I took an alt on a purely pug story mode raid, either story mode or E1, and there wasn't anyone like in there hard carrying. You know, like normally there'd be one or two people in there. They're like in red gear or something. This was a full, like, you know, like kind of at level ish. Maybe a couple people might have been like E3 or something, but like no one really knew what they were doing. Um, and yeah, it's it just to point out that, like, yeah, any raid should be organized. I guess is what I'm saying. Any raid, even a low difficulty raid, should probably have some level of organization, or it can just, because the more people you add in, like dungeons are 5 people. The more people you add, the more complicated it gets. Like, period. Right. So you have 10 people. Unless, I mean, I don't know. I guess mega bosses are the exception, but they're designed for 40 people to just sort of wail on them. They're just big pinatas. They don't really count.
Last time, actually, we were talking about, if you remember, portals for dungeons that could allow private groups to enter.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually something that you just reminded me. Why do we actually really have raid finder for E10 plus New Yorks? You know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's necessary to have.
You know
those.
what? Not only is it not necessary, it's a horrible idea to ever check that box. But I'm actually
we should
really
have portals.
Curious. I'm really curious if there's any statistical data. Like, has one ever popped? Has an E10?
No. No, come on, no.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, has one ever actually even popped? Has 10 people signed up and filled the roles, and has one like I need to get like Andy or Nervell
for E10? No. I don't think so.
I'm not saying they would have succeeded, but I'm saying, did it ever
pop?
I
know.
You don't think
so?
I
understand the question, and I'm ready to bet for E10 that it didn't happen.
It didn't happen? Now I want to find out. They have to have the data available, right? They have to.
Maybe. Hey, maybe.
That's actually worth checking into. Okay, so
Indeed.
The next topic we're going to go on to for the E17 raid, which is probably one of the most important, I guess, would be new mechanics.
Yep.
Because, I mean, what's a new difficulty tier without new mechanics, right?
Or some old mechanics rebalanced or remade or redesigned or fixed or whatever you can call it.
I mean, all of that's happening, actually. Right? Yep. Like, stuff got fixed. Well, we can start there. The stuff that was fixed, they fixed the rotation.
Sure. They fixed what?
The rotation of the Titans.
Yep. So basically, what that means is that currently on live, in phase 2, golems spawn in 3 different locations: east, north, and west. Whatever I'm doing with my hands, it doesn't matter.
It's fine.
So three locations. In phase 3, like these locations are fixed but the golems rotate. Okay, when they're done, they restart with the old location. They go all through, like clockwise rotation or anti-clockwise, doesn't matter. So they rotate. In phase 3, when there is a shadow, golems come from the behind, but they spawn in the same spots. So they continue rotating these spots. What happens is that when you wipe, the last spot or the next spot that would have been supposed to be the next spawn of the golem from the last try
is now the first spot.
Yeah, it doesn't on live. It doesn't reset, so you have to you don't have to, because it's not very important. If you're not in the wrong spot, like if you're overgearing the raids, and this is kind of what happens on live. If you overgear the raid, it's fine. If you aren't on the same spot, you can rush on the other spot. It's okay, but you kind of have to keep track. Of the spot.
It's like how many were down when we wiped, and then even the birds can rotate, and that's less common. But even the birds can rotate, and like
if you wipe
the more times you wipe, the more you are confused about where it's going to pop up next.
It's not a big deal, but this is the kind of change that is a quality of life change that I think people would really appreciate. Like I appreciate a lot
Oh
because
yeah.
this is something useless that I can just get out of my head, and I'm happy about that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, because it makes sense, and this is what I think we talked about back in the beta. Was it just makes sense that when you wipe a fight, you wipe it and it starts over. Like, why does anything carry over? You all died.
Tell that to Mr. Machine Tyrant, please, which spawns extra circles. Okay.
It is, yeah, his
Tell that to
reticles.
Mr. Machine
Yeah, he
Tyrant.
needs to learn this lesson too.
Yep.
So one of the changes in the E17 raid, for those following along this path here, is that the Titans and birds no longer keep their rotation if you wipe. If you wipe with after having 2 Titan spawns, the next one doesn't start with the Titan spawning in the 3rd spot. Back to the beginning. Everything resets. So every time you try the fight, those spawns will always be in the same place, as it probably always should have been.
Let's call it a bug fix.
Yeah, I call it a bug fix. That's fair. Okay, so what's the next new mechanic you run into? Or actually, that's
before new mechanic. Maybe there are 1 or 2 more bug fixes.
Okay.
One is due to you. You explained it to Nerval perfectly during closed beta. Those are pods. Pods don't pod people from China now.
Oh, the chain pod being just an insane, like, mystery thing.
Yeah, that's
that
gone.
took some convincing, because he did not really believe.
I think coming from his position, he doesn't kind of understand until you explained it like you did. It's kind of hard to imagine what you're talking about, you know?
Sure, that's happened with multiple other bugs where it's just you either need video or you need a very specific explanation, like, that leaves like nothing out and has a ton of context to say, like, no, it's not this other thing. It's not that you ran in too soon. It's not that you were too close. The chain pods on live were just insanity. Like, insanity. 3 seconds after something's potted, you're like 3 feet away and you get potted, like, magically. Like, chain pods were ridiculous.
Yep.
And it did take a fair bit of convincing that this was actually the case, and not just people, lagging or being a little too, quick to go free the pod or whatever. I was like, you can count to 3, run up to the pod, and still get potted. That's not okay. So he did look at it, and now, like, I really didn't get a chance to, like, run into that, but you guys have done the raid enough. That's not really.
We had the only times that we had chain pods were people magically standing near NPCs or other people that are supposed to get pointed, and we never had any accident. So what I can say, I'm not 100% sure it's fixed, but I'm very confident that it is, to a high percentage of confidence.
It's so even if you can get chain potted, it's probably more that you messed up and not that the chain pod is insane.
Ridiculous. Yep.
Yeah. I remember that conversation. I got really adamant about that one. I was like, no.
Yeah, I remember too.
Because someone else was. I don't remember who, but someone else was like, oh yeah, it could have been this, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, sometimes it takes really some brute forcing to make your case listen to.
I'm nothing if not argumentative.
Next one on the list I have is in phase 2, the last bird. You it triggers the shadow whenever you kill it, regardless of if you do it after 3 downfalls or not.
No more 3 downfall trick, people. No more 3 downfall trick.
I feel like this was something that was kind of bug because it doesn't feel right. Why shouldn't that bird also trigger the shadow? Like, what's the logic,
weird
right?
Timing
it seemed it seemed artificial, It seemed like a bug that we everybody was using this. That's fine, but
to be fair,
weird,
it's been like that since the Nightmare Raid and STFU.
I know.
Like, It's one of those things that I think people found out almost accidentally. I remember
I bet, yeah. I bet.
the lag spike runs, trying the raid, like, but when it was still broken before it was doable, I think. But you can still get it was phase 3 was broken. You can still do phase 1 and 2, and so there was many attempts before we got to phase 3, and yeah, I don't remember exactly how it happened, but they're like, it was like, oh, if it takes X long to kill the bird, you just don't get a shadow. And then I think then it just became a matter of determining, okay, well, how long? And then downfalls was just the easiest way to keep track of it.
Yeah,
Right, third downfall, we're good.
Yeah, actually, it's a bit less than that. Like you can kill it like 2 or 3 seconds before the 3 seconds maybe not, but 2 seconds before. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was just the easy. It was just the easiest way to keep track of it.
Yep. That's it for the bug fixes, I think.
So I think the first new mechanic you actually interact with as a player is the new pod mechanic. Right?
Yep, indeed. As soon as phase 1 is here.
Yeah, I think. Let me see. I have a clip for that we can flip to. Give me 1 second here.
The clip he's talking about is from our first raid kill, raid down.
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Yep, it's this one.
Switch views.
Yep, I remember.
So here, see Mealy got potted. I'm just gonna pause. You can see.
You'll be able to see
then,
the cast Siphon Life.
You turn away from it really fast.
Yeah, but yeah.
Let me go
Let
back.
me unpod. I'm unpodding someone first, but then I'll be shooting.
Oh, you turn back to it? Okay.
The pod. Yeah. You'll see it.
Yeah. So Siphon Life is the cast.
Yeah, basically the cast makes the pod heal itself, and you can interrupt this. So here you go. You can play the video for a bit.
Sure.
You'll see that I'll be shooting the pod, and the pod will be. You see, the pod is healing up. If you look at the pod's HP.
Yep.
And the cast just restarts. See, boom, full life.
Yeah.
Full life. It goes like one. It looks like 1 tick per second or something. Well, one tick every 1.5 seconds, whatever, and boom, it goes full life. And when you interrupt it, it's like I think the cast is disabled for like maybe 5 seconds or something.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, so
basically what we do.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, how we manage it is basically we throw high explosive grenades on the pod while doing damage. Like high explosive is a bursty elite. It also interrupts, and
I was
also
gonna say, right,
we made
it's your impair. Yeah.
Yeah, and also for the very last kill that we did with Levski, me as a healer and himself as a healer as well, we were using the attractor gadgets as healers, because healers are usually around the pods, around the area anyway.
Sure.
As healers, we don't really need value or anything like that. It's kind of whatever. So we just slot the attractor. That's also a nice thing.
So you have
with
so
gadgets.
The healers have a long range impair.
Yeah, that's also a nice thing with gadget is that gadgets don't require any hit rating. They never glance.
That's an important tip.
They never glance and they never evade. They never get evaded. Sorry, rather.
Yeah. So the pods being able to heal themselves is an E17 new mechanic that you have to impair in order to free the person in the pod. If no one impairs that, you're not getting them out of there. Unless maybe you wing it and you do enough damage to just annihilate it.
You had a clip of me doing that actually, so yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it's worth noting that pods have 471k HP. Wings after the beta now scale on your IP and no longer on combat power. They don't crit also, so they don't care about your glyphs. They do some fixed damage, based on your IP. So with at max IP, they deal around 400k damage. That's a lot of damage. And it doesn't matter who does them, since they don't scale on command power anymore. A healer's wings will deal the same damage as a tank's wings as a DPS's wings.
That's actually really good.
Great. That's great.
I knew the
power,
damage number had gone up. I'm not sure I was aware that it didn't care what role you are. But that makes sense. But B, that's actually super useful.
It's how it was in TSW actually, and that's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Overwhelming power, seeing it buffs the direct damage. Maybe the dot portion, I don't know. Well, the dot portion is, let's say it's negligible. It kind of deals some damage, but
right.
The direct damage portion goes up to 600k with overwhelming power. That's something,
Take notes. Take notes, people.
And this is the signet that allows to actually one-shot pods, because you're not quite at the one-shot range with the 471k.
Right. You'd be a little low.
Deal 400k. Not quite.
Yeah.
So overwhelming power, some good value.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's the pod killer signet, we can call it now.
Yep. Not only. I'll explain. I explained what else it's a killer of.
At 600k, it's a killer of a lot of things, I imagine.
Yeah. But in this context, in the Neuro Crate. What else? Zubiri. The good old Zubiri.
Yes. Well, okay. Well, hold on. That's phase 3. Let's try and pretend we're going through the raid. So phase 1, the first thing you interact with is a pod, right? And pods come. Siphon Life is a new cast. You have to impair it. Okay. The very next thing, which I will
Shadow,
show,
I guess,
is going to be what happens in Shadow. Yeah. So let me transition back over. So we can show this.
I really like this ability. What Shadow does.
So you can see on this clip. This is what Shadow does. What I like about this clip
on everyone.
Yeah, it puts a fill circle on everyone. But what's interesting is that it's not all at the same time. It's as the shadow wave passes. Because right here, you can kind of see it up in the corner. There's some people hiding up here that the shadow has passed and have circles on them already. But you don't have your circle yet. And neither do these guys. And then as it passes, you see this person by the center has a circle and you don't have it yet. Even though in this video, visually, it looks like the shadow wall is behind the person that has a circle. This is important to note. The shadow wall doesn't mean anything. It's a visual representation. It's not always in sync where the actual shadow wall is, right? So importantly, as soon as you have a circle, that means it's past you. You are free to move about the building and put your filth somewhere that's not going to kill you or anyone else.
Although arguably, the shadow could have been, instead of a wall, I'd rather see like a wind, a continuous wind, which wouldn't make it that weird, But
yeah,
it's kind of what.
But this is even more direct. You can see the wall's right here, and the circles are here, and you'd be like, wait a minute, I can't run out from behind the cop car. The wall's gonna get me. But no. The wall's actually past you. You wouldn't have the circle if the wall wasn't past you. So what this means right here is the visual has lagged behind the actual effect. So you can actually run out before the wall visually has passed you. This is also, by the way, what makes jumping that wall so difficult. Because technically, you can jump that. I've done it like 2 or 3 times. It's nearly impossible because the visual you have to cue for jumping is not remotely connected a lot of times to the actual wave. So you're either jumping too early or too late. But on more than one occasion, I have managed to jump the entire shadow of time. It's just like jumping.
That's Jimmy stuff. I don't doubt you. That's typical Jimmy stuff.
It's just like jumping Klein in Onk 2, right? Klein's wave. It's the same thing. It's just the visual is much less reliable.
Yeah, except you have to jump above invisible.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
kind of way harder than jumping through something that you see.
It is harder. Like,
Obviously.
I would say one time of the 2 or 3 times I've done it was on purpose, and the other times were accident. what? I also think the one time I actually jumped on purpose was way at the front. It was a shadow like in phase 3, and like literally right as the shadow came out the gate. I think it may be less out of sync at the beginning than it gets towards the end, if that makes sense. Like, I think as it passes, the actual effect and the visual maybe like separate more. They get out of sync with each other. But when it first comes out, they're actually pretty close. And I was very surprised when it happened. I was like, oh shit, you can actually jump this. It's not a recommended strat though.
Yeah, don't do it at home, guys. It's not safe.
Yeah, don't do that at home.
Don't attempt.
But the point is that you can clearly see in this video is, this is the shadow visually, but you don't get this effect until the shadow has passed you. So the important part is, I saw this happening when we did some tries, when I did some tries of the raid, is I saw people that were standing there with the circle and waiting for the visual to pass. And I was like, no, you have the circle, run. just move. You don't have to wait. It's already past you.
Worth
but
pointing
the cool
out
part
is
about this is, yes, everyone has a filth. You can kill your friends with your filth circle. You shouldn't be, but you can.
I guess people can notice that this filth doesn't look like the others from phase
here
1.
Here you can see it's already going away. So how?
Yeah,
how
it doesn't
long
stay
is
for
that?
long.
Maybe we
20
can see.
to 30 seconds, I think. More like 20, I think.
Yeah, maybe we can actually, since it's on the video, maybe we can actually tell. Let's see. Yours.
2:15.
Oh, the one behind you, we're at like 2:15, right?
Yeah.
The one in the corner.
Yeah.
So the one in the corner is about to go away.
Still there.
Now, 2:35.
20 seconds.
That's 20 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the filth specifically from the shadow passing that everyone gets is a 20-second filth. So it's more that it causes panic when you first interact with it.
You can mess up really hard in phase 3 though, because in phase 3 shadows also put this, and if you put filth everywhere, even for 20 seconds,
Yes, that's a much bigger problem in phase 3 because 10 people are up at the front. You have 10 people up at the front.
Yep.
That is much harder to figure out a safe space to drop it, and you narrow down your field of safe places to walk, and you have fist wave, pods, personal space, like who knows, right? Like there's all kinds of stuff.
This is where it's up to whoever is leading the raid to organize his tactics about how to manage placement, filth, and stuff like that. It's not very hard. It's just you have to be very very disciplined, very structured when you place it. You're not YOLO running in melee and putting it in the middle.
So not the chicken with your head?
Something like that, yeah.
That's not a good tactic, is what you're trying to say?
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. No.
I almost want to see if I can find. I should have brought this up sooner, or looked for it sooner.
In phase 3.
I have a video somewhere of one of the first times we ran into this. Like, we ran the raid, and we all discovered the mechanic the first time, and everyone dropped filth in the exact same spot, and the whole raid died.
That's the first idea I also had. Like, everyone stocks up, everyone puts the filth in the same spot, and boom, you get out, But no, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it does not. It does not work indeed.
It doesn't work because there is an instant damage as soon as the filth is dropped. It ticks instantly.
Right,
doesn't
right.
one-shot.
So if you're in there for more than like a second, you'll get like double ticks. Although I think he did Nervell did adjust that if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I don't think the
I think the
field
ticks are just
ticks,
not as harsh or something.
they're still fairly harsh. Like we had some wipes because of them, but that's
Because of the
for
ticks?
different reasons. Basically, there is currently a bug that either when you jump or when you put filth on the rocks or something, sometimes it tends to blend and get a bit transparent. So
Oh,
we had some
okay.
wipes due to people not seeing it.
You know, actually, I noticed that. We can actually see that in your video that I still have paused on the screen.
Quite likely, yeah.
Because you put it on top of the cop car, and at least at first, it looked kind of not visible for a second. No, now I see it.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Do we notice it though when you turn? Yeah, I guess it is there now. I guess that's when it first dropped. It kind of looked like nothing was there a second, and then it applied the decals or something to the car.
Also, this is for my client. I don't know what kind of settings other people had, but some people were maybe not quite seeing it as well as I were. I don't know.
Sure,
So
could be like level of
it's kind
effects.
of an issue. Norvell is aware about it. So yeah, maybe we'll see how it goes. But like meanwhile, that's not something that would block people from completing the raid. Just as long as you're disciplined enough to spread out filth on the sides of the room, on the borders of the room, and not on the middle of everywhere, like where everyone's running. That's gonna be fine. That's okay.
Well, and to be fair, in phase 3, when you get a shadow, you should already be hiding either on the right or left side. You should already be on the side, more or less, right? Except for, do the tanks get filth?
Yes, everyone.
Yeah, I don't think I even noticed that. Let's look at that. Let's see, we have, I'm kind of curious now. I'm not sure if I noticed that. It's hard to see.
We can probably find it. No.
Here's a shadow.
Okay, perfect. Nice.
This is the tank. Theck is the tank in this one.
Yeah. I bet he's gonna drop it on the rock. Yeah, see?
Yep, he dropped it on the rock.
And melee dropped it, you see the filth in melee range here? Someone dropped this one. That's how you do it. That's fine.
That makes sense.
That's perfect. Yeah. Alright, go hold. Oh, hello.
Hello, friends.
Big guy. Hello, big guy.
The only
I like
thing that's
that.
rough.
He's like tanking, and then like on the forward part of his screen there is like a big guy showing up. It's kind of funny.
You know what's always sucked about the tank viewpoint, both as the tank and videos of the tank, is that the whisper stacks, like your screen gets super dark.
Yeah, I don't like it. To me, it's the same problem as we have with the red glow. The red glow around the screen when you're low life. That has to go. Like seriously, please, Funcom, this either you make it an option that you check one check for some weirdos who would like to keep it, or you just remove it. Like please, this is not good.
Yeah,
it's actually visually it visually hurts. It visually hurts. Like my eye, it hurts my eyes.
Yeah, look at the difference when it's like at 10 stacks.
Yeah,
like it's so dark. And then
I mean, maybe this is intended.
Swaps,
like,
and then
it feels like some Cthulhu corruption or whatever it can be, But no, it's not fun. Like it's not fun.
It feels like it should be lighter.
It shouldn't be lighter or anything. It shouldn't be like
I'm not opposed to like a whisper stack having some kind of effect, but like it feels like it's a bit much. Like there's been times as a tank with whisper stacks where like when the fist comes down, I can't tell if I'm on the inside or the outside of the fist, because I can see the white line, right? But the ones that come across to kind of tell you that you're standing in the grid, it's so dark, I can't see which side of, like, am I in the fist or out of the fist? I don't really know.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of times you don't know until you move. You start to move out of the fist, then you realize, oh wait, I'm moving into the fist, because as your vision shifts you can sometimes see it a little better. I think what I would like, just throwing this out there, and maybe this would be worse for some people, but I think I would rather have it be like wavery or something.
Ooh, that's not gonna be popular.
Yeah, I know. I knew as soon as I said that. Like,
some people have motion sickness. That's kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah. But I feel like, as opposed to being blind, if it's like this Cthulhu fog messing with your head, right? If it was half as dark, but it just had like a little bit of motion to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your brain's foggy. Like, I'd be okay with that.
I don't feel it's necessarily at all. I don't think it's.
You know what?
Not in a raid, at least. Like in a mission or something, sure, because mission is about
Dark
story.
Agartha. You know the the fungus modifier where you have the gold ring.
Yes.
And when you're outside of the gold ring, it's got like that weird sort of fuzz effect.
Okay.
If it was like that,
bad.
right?
Okay.
That's not horrible. And definitely not this dark, but like a little fuzzy and like a little.
Yeah, that's fine.
Would be, I think, a better implementation than just straight up like I can't fucking see my screen. You know?
I mean, yeah, sure. Like if I don't want to see my screen, I'm just gonna go darkness war black screen, right? That's how we do it.
Turn on name tags. Put on the blindfold.
Let's go. Or I'm just gonna go in Hell Eternal and get some flicker, and that's it. Let's go.
Oh, I can play with the flicker bug all day long. That doesn't bother me.
I don't. I believe you. That's Rabbit Jimmy the Rabbit things.
Did you know that eventually it turns off by itself? I have outlasted that effect.
Yeah, I know. I had like some people are usually outlast the effect too. I just personally, I usually don't have the patience to outlast it, and I give up and I just get out. I really hate it.
I noticed. Okay, like the first thing you usually notice if you don't just quit out the game, if you get it like in Hell Eternal, is you notice that machine tyrants are visible. Like, you know when it flickers and only shows the skybox, right?
Yeah.
But if you hold it there, so all you see is the skybox, machine tyrants you can see. Just walking around in the air. Yes. Wow. For whatever reason, machine tyrants render. No other enemies do, but machine tyrants do. So, like, let's say you get the flicker bug on boss 1, which is normally where you get it. Let's say you play with it through, like, boss 2 and 3. When you're going up the ramp, right, with the sneak area, you just see these machine tyrants walking around in the air. Like, it looks so weird. And
nice one, okay.
After that, I was like, well, what else does that? So I went into Agartha and was messing around. And for instance, the Tokyo portal is filthed, right? It's got all the filth around it. So if you have the flicker bug and look over there, you don't see like the Agartha branches or anything, but you see this black mass. Like, only the filth stuff renders. Just like the machine tyrants. It's like, so I was using them like X-ray goggles. I was using the flicker bug on purpose to look around and see.
You don't just flicker out of John's grasp. John is there.
Yeah, he's there no matter what.
Saying. Yeah. you don't flicker away from him like that. No.
But yeah, so the original, back to the original point, besides fun with flicker bugs, this, like, I don't know, I'm all for making the raids like mechanically more difficult,
but not visually.
But it shouldn't be like an eye test. It shouldn't.
Pretty much.
It shouldn't require you to have like super good night vision. Is my opinion, anyways. But that's my opinion on the raid. You know, like any of the levels, they all have this problem. It's not something specific to E17 or anything.
Yeah. What else? What else do we have?
So that was the filth circles.
Yeah. Are we in phase 3?
No. Okay. Real quick, you can no longer impair or knock around the Titans.
Yep. They're CC immune, ground control immune.
Which, like, hurts me. That was one of the main things that I do in the E10 raid is I bring the cannon, and and not randomly, like I specifically, um, I rarely ever use it in phase 2. Like phase 2 is not a problem, but phase 3, it was oftentimes key to like a Titan's coming in, you know, the NPC is not back from being picked up yet, what have you. Knock, get the hell away from here. It also keeps his filth explosion from being centered right up on top, right? Because as soon as he gets up there and does a circle, there's a good chance you're losing somebody. Someone's not getting out of that circle in time or something. It's too small of a space. At least I've seen that happen a lot. So I always use the cannon as like a means of control. Whereas now, like that's not a thing.
I feel like this is still a good change though, because like in E10 you can literally bully the golem with CCs. You can HEG, you can erupt, you can use gadgets, you can use whatever you want. You can literally bully.
No, it's a good mechanical difficulty improvement, right? E17 should be harder than E10. That I understand. It just it just hurts my heart.
Spoiler mode, it's still kind of a joke if you do it properly, but at least now you can't just bully, and the golem is a threat that if you leave it too long, if you don't tank it properly, if you don't, you know, it's gonna slap someone and boom, you're losing someone.
This clip is gonna show something else as well, but I like this clip because you can see Levski kiting the Titan, jumping over the rocks and just leading him on a merry chase past everyone.
Levski's a freaking commando on this one. also for some background for this clip, Levski took aggro on the golem by using wings. A bit behind. I mean, I guess you can see it in the video if you just get back a little bit.
I can go back.
Perfect. Leave it here. So we had this pod that we were kind of messing up with, and then
Oh yeah, I see the wings.
Basically, I was asking for someone to come and wing the pod because we had some trouble on podding it. Because HEGs were out of cooldown at some point, whatever.
Sure.
He came out late. He winged, but he also hit the golem. 400k, that's a lot of aggro. So he started to run away, and he did some commando tricks.
I love that kite though. I love the kite like over the rocks, like loop behind over the rocks, and it just makes the Titan like follow.
He's still healing. If you guys can notice, he's still healing.
Yeah. He's
running, but he's still healing.
Yeah.
Levski is a multitasking machine, dude.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, but usually on the other attempts, that's one of the strengths of the shotgun tanking, kind of getting on the tanking healing there a bit. Heroes don't quite aggro the golems by themselves. Due to green shells, shotgun tanks naturally grab them. That's great.
Gotcha. But in this case, that's just some exceptional.
Yeah, that was fun. Like that was legit funny.
So that should take us past phase 2. So, although I mean, I guess technically, what this clip shows is actually useful even in phase 1. This is the fact that when a fist comes down, the fist wave no longer comes out right at the end of his fist.
Can you show it maybe?
So fist is going to come down right here. And when his fist comes down right there, okay, the wave pops up over here.
Yeah.
Now the reason for this is so that long range can use the Alex buff circle without having to constantly be avoiding fist waves and other stuff. So there essentially is a safe zone between the end of the fist and the beginning of the fist wave, and it extends this whole area. So anytime a fist comes down, I don't even know what the distance of that is, like 10 meters or something. There's like there's a pretty large area. Alex is the key, right? Your long range NPC, if you're like standing with him, you're not gonna get hit with a fist wave. It's gonna come up behind you. He won't get hit by the fist, and
that makes it significantly easier to have people in this circle. for sure.
Yeah, the whole point is and I guess this is something as well that's kind of new for E17 is you actually kind of have to use the circle.
Yep, because buff circles in E17, instead of granting their buffs to 4 people, they grant buffs to 3 people. The other thing is that buffs got increased from 125% to 175%. So
Wow.
that allows some big numbers. I've seen myself throwing some 450k HEGs on the lurker and stuff. Pretty nice. Although circles don't buff wings.
Right. Well, if
First,
they did,
my
that'd
idea
be
was
insane.
to yeah, I mean, my plan at the beginning, okay, was to grab overwhelming power with wings, throw them from a circle, and insta-jeep the golem. I kind of felt sad when that didn't work. It's how it goes.
So yeah. So Alex needs to be used. Someone has to be in there. Now, you also have to potentially throw out filth.
Yep.
Assuming one of the healers doesn't get it. But I believe they adjusted the filth throws to be a little more.
Filth lasts for 2.5 minutes instead of 5 minutes, like on live. So
Right,
the duration is shorter, but that's it. Basically, if you reach DPS, you kind of have to be careful on where you put it. If you put a bad filth at the beginning of phase 3, you're gonna have bad time.
Right. Sure. But also didn't they adjust, if I'm not mistaken, like the how often it throws out filth or something, or the
basically it throws out more often than in E10 on live, so you'll quite get some of the filth out there, you know. Like you'll get a decent number. And the other thing is that consecutive filth casts cannot target the same person. So you have to have 2 people outside, which usually are 2 healers.
Right.
But,
right.
You know.
Well, and also at least 1 ranged DPS, right? If not 2.
That's not necessary for the filth. That is for the filth itself. That's not necessary. But...
Right, but I'm just saying you generally have at least a pool of probably 3 people, 2 healers and a DPS, technically.
Yeah. Speaking about healers, new mechanic. There is raid damage. Make it simple. Raid damage to heal. So healers are not gonna only heal the tanks. They have to heal their groups, the whole raid as well.
What's the raid damage?
It's can you check a personal space timing just to see it clearly?
Yeah, sure.
You can find a personal space, any, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this is actually before personal space.
Yeah. No, it's after.
Oh, this is this is after.
Like
right.
there's gonna be final resort soon. Yeah, that's. I mean, final resort also works though. Like.
Where is the? Oh yeah, because it's knocked back. Right.
Okay, so maybe just right after this, I guess. Yeah, okay, you see only tanks are taking damage. You can see it on the raid frames. And I guess we're gonna get. Okay, we stop DPS here to deal with the pod first, and then we trigger a personal space. So it's gonna be in like maybe. Yeah, boom, and then we trigger a personal space. Like in a couple of seconds, I guess. And watch the raid frames, guys. Boom, raid damage.
Oh wow.
See? Yeah, raid damage. So there are 2 kinds of raid damage.
I don't remember that. That's new-ish? Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. There are 2 kinds.
I don't recall that from when I was testing.
No. That's new from when you were testing, indeed.
Yeah.
But that's not all. That's not all. Can you go in phase 1, please? Back in phase, like
sure.
at the beginning, something. You see, some people sometimes are taking some damage. Maybe not now, but like, see, raid frames, boom. Basically, the 3 or 4, I don't know how many exactly, closest people to the lurker take a dot. that deals
Really?
damage for 5 seconds. Yep. It's nothing hard to heal, you know. Like it's like actually the total damage of the dot from the 5 seconds barely is supposed, I think, to kill someone if the person doesn't get any heal. I'm not even sure about that. Have to double check, but it's not a big deal. At least it gives something to do to healers, you know.
Right, right. Healers, you have something to do now. Pay attention.
In phase 3, you have both these in phase 3, and when personal space comes, there is a raid-wide damage to everyone.
Okay, so you have the closest people to the lurker taking damage.
Yes.
Periodically.
Yeah.
Then you also have a damage chunk when personal space happens.
That's it. So that's something new, and this is also why Nirvel changed the Unveil Essence. This is why it only now heals the group. It's kind of because of us. Basically, the idea is that at some point we were trying the E17 raid with one healer. I mean, without raid damage, you know, what's the point? Because basically tanks are, like, with the rotation and the setup we've made, tanks are really sturdy, provided they don't mess up their rotation. The rotation is kind of like you aren't sturdy for free. You have to work for it. And I can tell the rotation is you know, rotation requires some real investment. But yeah, this gives healers some real interesting job to do.
Okay, yeah, that's new
like
to me. That's interesting.
Yep.
I mean, I find that to be, you know, good, probably needed, and also
this is
interesting.
I think overall this is what SWL is missing the most right now: the lack of group damage, be it in raids or in dungeons. Now we have it in New York 17. I believe that healing a tank just one target. If there are some mechanics that burst the tank or that challenge your single target healing, that's nice. But healing is not about healing one target and that's it. It's not about spamming your heals on one target. Healing is about, in MMORPGs, usually healing is about healing everyone. In your group, in your raid, whatever it takes. And SWL so far has been managing to get by without healers, with sustained tanks, also because of this. That's part of it. That's part of the deal. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no other.
Intentions.
I would say
there are no group damage. Like you have life burn, but that's cleansable. That doesn't even count. You know.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
That's it.
I would say, and we don't have it yet, but it was on the beta. Penthouse would be the other thing that requires some group healing. At least
that's
two fights,
second
2
boss.
and 3 for sure. If not, in
that's
fight
nice.
1.
That's great. That's great. That's Penthouse in terms of mechanics.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
Nothing to say.
No, they just need to bring everything else up. Then Penthouse needs to be like the bar, and then just bring everything else up.
Raid damage, group damage is fun. It's interesting. It gives something to do, something meaningful to do to healers than just spamming one target and healing the tank who may or may not even take any damage because the tank blows up his cooldowns and he's immortal for like 10 seconds. So you're like Resident Sleeper, you know?
Yeah. So, okay.
What else?
So raid damage, that's cool. I like that.
Yes. Zuberi,
yes. You have to
wake up Zuberi. If you don't wake up Zuberi, you don't have any circle, any buff circle in phase 3. Period. No circles at all. So here you go. Pretty simple.
Wait, did someone
snares?
Who picked up Zuberi?
It's chicken stew.
I was just looking to see if I could see. Or no, this is just the entrance into. That's why you don't see it, right?
I mean, from my POV, you might.
Because this is the start of phase 3, I think.
Yeah, there's gonna be personal space. See, and Zuberi is gonna be like. Can we see chicken stew?
Oh yeah, I see it.
He's in the middle. Yeah.
He's right behind the lamppost.
Yeah. When he's knocked down like for the next personal spaces, he has his own dedicated spots, of course, when he's knocked down further and further behind.
Right, right.
So you need 4 NPCs to pick up.
Right.
Instead of 3. Or 2, because before that nobody cared about Alex. But now you need Alex.
Yeah, no one used Alex. That was one of the things I talked about a lot on the test. One of the things I personally talked to.
Yeah, it's great that Alex and Zubiri have a purpose now. I think it's cool. Because that was kind of weird that you had one NPC that you were able to interact with, but that was not doing anything.
Yeah,
kind of seemed
that Zuberi didn't really have to be picked up was odd. Always, honestly. In fact, going back to like the old TSW Nightmare raid that was originally bugged, the buff circles were bugged and wouldn't give a buff. Once the first personal happened and you picked them up, that was the original bug. They would visually have the circle, but you wouldn't get the buff. No damage increase. That made the raid like unkillable. But there was some theories at the time, like, oh, maybe it's because we need to pick up Zuberi. Because that would make sense. It wasn't the case. That it was tried. We tried picking up Zuberi. It didn't make any difference. That it had nothing to do with it. But you could see that even like players' thought process was, oh, well, maybe Zuberi has to be up. Because
I mean that's also part of the RP. Zuberi is kind of the leader of these guys. Zuberi is it's Zuberi,
yeah, he's like empowering them, right? He's like in the middle.
Like Zuberi is the guy who unites them. Otherwise, they'd kill each other because they're from different factions. From the RP perspective, it makes sense. From the lore perspective,
I don't know if they would kill each other. I got the impression, at least from the beginning sequence in the subway,
maybe not.
They all knew
you know
each
what
other.
I mean?
But yeah, I think he brings them together for sure, and he also is like the one that empowers. He's also like was like that in the Flappy raid, right? He was up there. So with him knocked down, it's very weird that everyone's powered up. So no, I really like that for E17. I like that's an additional layer, but I really like that you have to actually use Alex, because it always weirded me out that like here's this buff circle that's like not worth using.
Yeah.
And so
although there is one quirk, but I guess I'll talk about it a bit in the balance section a little bit later, in a couple of minutes, in whatever. What else? Snares. We forgot about the snares. So there are pods when they're cast. They root everyone. That's on live currently. That's
on live on E10.
That's still in E17. That's okay. But there are additional snares now that come. They come from 2 things. First one, shadows. When shadows start their cast, boom, everyone gets a snare for 5 seconds for 70% movement speed reduction. You don't have to cleanse this one. It's not as dangerous as the roots, and they don't last for that long. But we had backup cleanses. It's still better to clean them, you know.
Yeah, I imagine. Well, especially because you also get the filth circle, right? So it can't be good to be slowed and have a fill circle.
Yeah, you can have some weird combos, bad combos if you don't cleanse it. Indeed.
Yeah.
The other thing is that snares happen right after a personal space in phase 3.
Right, which is an improvement on the prior implementation.
I kind of liked it though, like you know.
I know you did, but the prior implementation was the snares happened with personal space.
Yeah.
But that could be a big problem because you need to have an instant cleanse. If you have like a cleanse that ticks, right, or takes a second, or what's the blood golem one, right? That one, you know, the blood healer casts the golem and it sort of like takes a second to actually cleanse everybody. Someone's gonna die in personal space if it happens at personal space, because they're gonna be like the one. It's like when the drone hops to people, right? The last person to get the drone's gonna die.
The biggest problem was for melee, for those who were in the melee circle. Those had some pathing to do, you know, to get out.
It was
for people who are like in rows, it's kind of okayish, but well. It is what it is. That's fine.
because you're further out. But
Fine.
yeah, if you're melee circled, you have the farthest to go, and to have to wait to be cleansed and then move, like that's rough. So, anyways, that's not the implementation. That was the old implementation. The new one is after the personal.
Golems, shadows, snares, Zubiri. One last thing. There is an additional phase. I know some people don't even know that this exists, but technically it's an additional phase, phase 4, right after final resort. It's not like in E10 anymore. Let's break it down how it is in E10. In E10, final resort triggers at 1.7 million HP. That's, I think, 3%-ish. Not mistaken, whatever.
It's like a range or something. I've seen it trigger at some weird freaking numbers.
No, it has a very specific threshold. It's not a range. It has a very. I mean, one time you had a bug. You had a bug one time. PJ showed me.
It was like 3 million or something. We got final.
That's weird. I can tell you but it's supposed to have like one specific threshold, 3%, and then you like from 1.7 million you can take it down to 300k and something. Basically, you almost kill it.
Yeah, it'll lock.
It's capped at 300k something in E10 on live right now. Yeah, so that's kind of joke. Like if you burn it through the cast from the circles, like we do it no problem most of the time if no one dies.
Well, especially if you have like a shadow right before final.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway.
Well, because it gives you the whole length of the shadow standing in the buff circle to just sit there and burn them to nothing.
Yeah. True, but like when the final comes, if you cap the boss, the final comes and then poof, it just dies. Almost like you throw a grenade or something, whatever, and it's just dead. In New York E17, it's no longer like that. Final result triggers at 5%, so that's no longer 3%, and it's capped at 4%. So it's kind of beefy. See? It's kind of beefy. It leaves 2.7 million to grind on your own for 20 seconds.
Oh, wow.
You have 20 seconds to kill it. 2.7 minutes. It's kind of chunky. The 0.5% wipe that we had can attest. Although for that one, technically, as I said maybe at the beginning, I don't remember. We left the boss with less than 400k HP left without wing debuff. So I, as a healer, on that attempt should have winged. I messed up. I kind of didn't,
Yeah, let's see.
I didn't expect the wipe, so like I didn't even bother, Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
But we had 2 DPS dead.
Right,
See?
Right.
We had, who was that? Anch and
Mir, I think?
Yeah, Muriel. Okay, Muriel was the rifle DPS and Anch was rifle DPS as well. But yeah, it shows that technically we did it with 2 DPS dead.
Right. Yeah.
This is open beta. No agents, no museum. Here you go.
Right, yeah.
Don't underestimate this phase. But at the same time, it's kind of that hard. Like it's just a little DPS check, and if you have too many people dead, it's kind of like
Yeah, that's what I would say. The thing is, it's not so much that the phase itself should be difficult. It's more difficult to carry it when you're down people, right?
Especially
you don't have buff circles, and so if you're down like 2 DPS, that's more significant now than like on live in E10.
Yeah. The thing is that also I've been talking about wings, maybe half an hour before. This is where overwhelming power on healers and tanks. This is what we're gonna do. Basically, the idea is that you can just delete 600k for free.
Right. Sure.
In this phase, as a healer or a tank. As a DPS, the idea is that you don't do it because you'd be losing 2 seconds of cast, while a tank or a healer can do it because they don't DPS anyway. So like they can.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense.
That's the plan. That's the plan. And I think I like it because like right now with how the wings got changed, we can actually create strategies and tactics about wing usage, and that's great. I love it. I love it freaking so much. And we now get back some purpose to the wing signets. That's great. It's awesome. I like it. Here we go. So yeah, new raid abilities. That was a chunky thread to talk about, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is a lot of different things there, a lot of intricate things, and it's all layered on top of the existing E10 mechanics as well. So it's not like, you know, something got left out. Everything got added on top of what's already there.
Yeah.
Which is what it should be, right? It should be more difficult. It should be more intricate. Otherwise, what would be the point?
Have to build up your tactics according to the changes. The new mechanics, they aren't that hard if you like, provided you make
it's just more it's more that it's more things, right? It's like,
yeah, provided you create a strategy to manage them.
yeah,
They don't have anything that hard. That's okay. I think they're cool. The new mechanics, I really enjoy. My favorite one, I think, is the shadow putting filth on everyone.
yeah,
That's my
the shadow filth, I think, is my favorite as well. Like, there's a bunch of stuff is awesome. Small and like makes important changes to how you run the raid, but the most, I think the most immediate one is like, just holy fuck, everyone has filth. What the hell?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's how it should be. It's great.
So yeah, in that sense, it's the most, I think, just mentally impactful to every person in the raid, because everyone's gonna have it. Every shadow.
That's also kind of great because for a moment, everyone becomes a filth placer.
Yes, that's
great.
True.
That's great. Teaches something to do and shows what it is to, to place filth. It's great. Love it. Yeah. Moving on, tanking, or there anything else that you'd like to?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that pretty much covers all the different mechanics added and their intricacies for the most part. All right, here, let's. I think our next topic was tanking and healing, just in general.
Yeah.
In the raid.
Got some things to say. So we made several kills. I have several POVs. I've made let's say 2 kills as a healer. The 0.5 kind of is out there, and
right.
one kill as a DPS. I didn't ever do any kill as a tank, but like I've been testing with you and like back then as a tank.
Yeah. I remember you tanking before.
I know how shotgun plays. I have my decent idea on how Chaos plays. I've been raiding once or twice with Dumbbox. He was doing great with Chaos. So what I can say about tanking, the idea is that each tanking weapon right now has 2 elites. Middle row, third row elite. Okay. From the design point of view, so far at least, the third row's elite, the second one for tanking, is the strongest in terms of mitigation. And this is what we use basically because, well, I mean, like bombardment, for example, for shotgun only gives 40k protection.
Right.
While kneecapper with passive gives 43%, I think, glance chance. And the passive gives extra 29k protection for 5 seconds when you glance, which like you'll be glancing 100% pretty much of the time when under kneecapper. So like the passive extends for the full duration of kneecapper plus up to 5 seconds after it's actually done, because like imagine you glance at the last second of kneecapper, boom, you get the passive again for 5. That's insane. That's insane. Compared to bombardment, which only gives 40k protection. Like it's cool, bombardment exposes, but mitigation wise, like the damage has been changed in New York E17. Basically on live, damage comes through 0.5 every 0.5 seconds. Whisper of Darkness ticks on each stack for some damage. It was reasonable to think that ticking damage so often would be a problem for the new tanking. Why? Because you have so much evade and glance now. So you'll be able to flatten, the damage very hard. And it would kind of be a joke. Like when the damage is too frequent, the probability averages out and the damage kind of becomes predictable. Now the damage is like happens every 1.5 seconds, but it's 3 times as strong. What that means is that obviously you can still get some decent RNG in glancing evade here and there, but when you don't glance or evade, boom, you take a big hit. That hurts. You remember one of the attempts we had together where the first tick when I provoked, I got one shot.
Yes. Yeah.
There was no debilitate on the boss. Granted, there was no debilitate. I double checked. Right now, when we have debilitate, we don't get one shot from the first tick. But it hurts. It hurts freaking a lot.
Right.
So you have to kind of involve healers. Like the damage is not predictable and it's very bursty. So healers kind of have to react accordingly. They have to be on their toes sometimes.
Right.
But it's nothing hard. Like if you rotate properly, you cover your tanking rotation from it lasts for 20 seconds. When you provoke, you have 20 seconds of damage. If you cover it properly with your cooldowns, you're gonna be fine. Shotgun are doing great. Chaos seems to do great as well for now. Hammer has a problem.
Okay.
Right now, Hammer, the elite that is designed for New York raid, the third in a row is Raging Volcano.
Right.
Right now, for the Raging Volcano, the passive is good. The passive is nice. It gives up to extra 50% max life and 50% healing received increase. That's nice. But the active part of the Raging Volcano only reduces damage by 25%. No, that's not enough. That's just not enough. Yeah. Although good news is that Nirvel said he's gonna review the budget of the Raging Volcano. So I think in order for Raging Volcano to be great and to make Hammer also good for New York E17 tanking would be, at the very least, it's a great start, is to, let's say, get Raging Volcano from 25% reduction to like 75-80%. Sounds big.
Yeah.
But trust me, the damage is chunky and you want in each tanking weapon, to have a great mitigation elite. Not all of them are great. There is 1 out of 2 elites, which is better for mitigation. This is the one you'll be using in New York E17.
Gotcha.
And Hammer needs this. Hammer needs this absolutely. It's also great because when you play with this elite also provokes the boss. Now it got changed. On live, the provoke was temporary. Like when you finish the channel, the other tank was getting the aggro back. Now it's no longer like that. Now Nirvel fixed it. The aggro stays on you. But as I said, the only problem now is mitigation. It doesn't provide enough.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm waiting for Hammer changes to this. I don't know if Raging Volcano alone would be enough, but it would be a pretty decent start.
Right. Gotcha.
As for healing, healing in big part depends on the tanks. Not gonna lie.
Sure. I mean, I kind of like that too about the whole rebalance. Is like, it really does depend on both people kind of doing their job.
What happened is the 0.5% attempt I was healing with before Ev, and she as well as me, we were not cross healing, which means we were only taking care of our own groups.
Okay.
In this situation, there was like 1 or 2 tries where we messed up some aggro and tanks had double stacks. That's kind of hard to heal, but for the most part, it was quite easy, provided the tanks don't mess up their rotations. That was quite easy. Actually, outside Regeneration, which is Feast's elite, and outside Invigorating Wrath, here and there, I was pretty much only spamming basics. That's it. You can use Regeneration if you're far away, and Wrath is the same. So basically, with our gameplay, with how our tanks were playing, We didn't even need to target anyone specifically or to cast power abilities. We could get by with just regeneration and invigorating wrath and some basics here and there. That the
Okay.
mileage might vary, like they say, for different tanks, for different groups.
Sure.
But
Sure.
this is how we could get by, you know. In the other kill, where I was healing with Levski was cross healing. He was stealing some heal from my group. He's like that, you know.
Of course he
And
was.
and on that kill, I literally had like nothing to do. I was almost slacking, you know. So like that was like, but there was an explanation. Why wasn't I cross healing though? This is the part where I kind of rant about healing and why I don't like healing in this game. Targeting with the mouse wheel is messed up. They still didn't fix the targeting when you're close to some other people, you know, when you're stuck up.
Right. They know about it now, though. They
Nice.
they do know about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think you were there for that. I'm not sure.
So for people who would like to play with the mouse wheel, that's I really I don't like it because
it works when you're not near anybody.
I mean, in dungeons, I guess it's kind of fine if you want to scroll, but in a raid, scrolling takes time. It's not
Right.
accurate and it's kind of bugged. So this is kind of, you know, it makes it feel bad. What about clicking on people in the raid frames? It's worse than in TSW because you have to alt first.
Right.
And when you alt, you're not moving anymore. So you lose movement, you lose momentum if you want to click on people.
Sure.
So you have to like alt not only, but you also lose momentum. That's pretty bad. In New York 17, it's pretty bad. There's a third way, and this is what Levski. This is how Levski is healing, and this is what I'll be healing. I'll set up my UI to do exactly this. Is to assign keybinds, shortcuts to each, like 10 shortcuts to 10 different spots in your raid frames. And yeah, this is what we're gonna do because this is the only this is the most efficient way to do it, and this is the less
it's the most
less
accurate way.
Yeah, it still takes some work, and it still makes the healer role require 10 more keybinds. That's kind of chunky, you know. It's kind of chunky. This is part of the reason why I don't like it, but it's doable. Like what Levski does, for example, is like he does shift plus 1. This is what I'm gonna do. Shift plus 1 through 5, there'll be one group. Control plus 1 to 5, gonna be another group. And like you use modifier keys like this, shift or control, whatever. That's an example, okay? That's just an example of how you can do it. And you're gonna actually use only 5 keys to do it, and 2 additional keys as modifier.
People that just have like F1 through F10.
That's not a good idea. This is what I have right now by default. Yeah. And I don't use this. I don't use it because it's worse than actually scrolling or clicking. F10 is insane. Like if you go to F10, you're insane.
You know, I can tell you something that's worse. In TSW, I played on an Xbox controller, and I did raid healing at some point, like in PvP. So, I had an Xbox controller has 4 buttons, right? But I had a thing where I would like hold, I don't know, trigger plus whatever, and that switches to a different layout that is like target this person, right? So those buttons would now be, instead of like XYBA, it's like, you know, player 1, 2, 3, 4. And then another weird trigger to go the next players in the other raid frame. Like, it was massively insane. Like,
did I already say that you're insane personally? Dude, like, come on. That's sick. That's sick. Why do you? I don't know. Why do you mess up with yourself with controllers?
I hated the.
You're insane.
It actually works really well in Legends. I just hated the thing. Here, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna switch the view here, just for fun. This was like my Xbox controller in TSW. And this is actually missing the healing one. This is just for normal play.
Dude.
The healing one
Wow,
was the layout number 5. It's not even
that's
on
insane.
here.
That's insane. So yeah,
Um,
my point is
yeah.
that yeah, right now I dislike healing solely because of technical reasons, because of the UI. In SWL in particular, like
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
games like WoW, on the highest level, Mythic raiding, you don't have 10 people. You don't F1 to F10. You have 20 man raids. That's not, you can't go with keybinds. That's not possible. 10
Right.
people, that's insane. So what people do is like they don't click on each frame, but they mouse over. Like they just mouse over through the frame of someone in the raid, and then they press the keybind of their spell.
Sure.
That's how they do it in WoW, in Mythic Raid. But that works for WoW because mouse over is a thing. That's nice. You have mods and stuff that do it, and WoW is tap targeting based. So you click on people.
Right. Right.
SWL is reticle based. So
Doesn't really work.
that's the main reason why I dislike healing right now in Legends. Although, like, I might review my opinion. Well, when I'll make a proper UI, proper keybinds, and I'll get used to it. But you still have to keep in mind that you have some work to be done on yourself to put these new keybinds that you define and to learn to use them effectively. So it's
I
not
would
like a
say
DPS role. You have to put some work in it
I would say what
if
would
you want
help
to
a
be good.
lot with that is if the keybind showed on the frame.
And you know what? You can do it with Effect UI.
Really?
Simple as that. Yeah, you can. You just that's what I'm planning to do actually. I'm planning to basically put numbers and like basically the keybind combination on each spot. Like I'll create 10 trackers in Effect
Uh huh.
UI. I can just write whatever I want. That's it.
Oh, I mean, so
It's
a
doable.
tracker for each player?
Not even players, like just free text. You can create free text if you
Oh, I
want
see
with
what you
the
mean.
Effect
Yeah,
UI.
yeah, okay.
You
Oh,
can
okay,
you
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, and
it's
just place it. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
You
not
like
it's not
use
a
it as a
baseline
label.
feature. Yeah, it's not a baseline feature. That maybe what you suggest, it's actually good to add with the vanilla frames. I guess that could be cool. That's what
Yeah.
they use in Skyforge. That's another MMORPG I've been playing at some point. In Skyforge, you have a raid frames, and near each name you have F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. Boom.
Yeah.
That's great.
That
That's
if
great.
your keybind
That's
is next to the thing, it's
yeah,
much less mentally intensive.
yeah,
But when you
yeah.
have a frame with 10 people and person X is dying and you have to go like, "Wait, which one is that? Is that F7 or F8? Fuck." Right?
This is
Whereas
actually
if you
this.
look at the name and you see the button, you'll just be like, "Boom."
You
Right?
know what I'm actually doing already right now with Effects UI? You see your drug. We usually tank it through blue phase, right?
Yeah.
What I do is that I have 5 trackers that go with each keybind of everyone's like if F1 to F5. Okay, in front of each frame that I position it with my layout, whatever. And when it detects the debuff that someone is getting, blown up in a blue
Oh, the
phase,
cosmic
he
sundering?
targets. Yeah, he detects that and it displays the appropriate F key. So I just press F key, boom, Anima Suffusion. Here we go.
Nice. Nice.
Eh.
I mean, you won't be able to do that
So
much
yeah,
longer, but
yeah. That's why I was like really sad because to us we like that's a real strategy. Like it's not easy to do. Like you have to refresh you have to keep track of the Unveil Essence debuff. You have to refresh it. You
right.
have to heal up. You have to target and to save people with the Anima Suffusions. You have to use Shelter Gadget. That's not easy, and that was fun. That's fun to play. Is an alternative strategy
Yeah.
that rewards you efficiently, like you kill the boss faster if you do it. That's great. The feeling is awesome. I'm kind of sad to let it go, but like I mean, if Nirval adds extra mechanics in blue phase, let's go. Okay, I'll take it. Let's go. Let's go.
So, um, let's see here.
So
We
okay,
we we
tanking
did
is
did we really did we cover tanking and healing pretty much?
maybe one thing that I have to say for tanking though. Like as I said, your mileage. How do you pronounce it? Mileage.
Mileage.
Mileage may vary. Our tanking rotations are quite intricate. Basically, we use 30 seconds rotation. Yeah, that's pretty insane. The idea is that shotgun has a passive. When you reload green shells, you always reload green shells as a tank. When you reload green shells, you get 10% glance chance for 8 seconds. That's insane. We use this passive and we use the passive for rocket pod, which gives you extra 1.3% glance chance stackable 3 times. So basically 4%, okay, per
Okay.
rocket pod. So you just use power abilities and you stack up some glance. With these two plus kneecapper, we are able to get to 100% glance, okay? So the rotation that we use is when the other tank is around 14 stacks, we start like at 3 shells, means we used some basics before to get to 3 shells. Then we use 3 rocket pods to get the buff, from the passive,
Right.
4% glance. Then reload. We get the other buff from the other passive when you reload, 10% glance. Then we use kneecapper, and then we provoke. So this is how we are able to 100% of the time glance the first hit. And since we are able to do that, the first hit is glanced or evaded, because the evade comes before the glance, but that's fine. First hit is glanced, it triggers the passive of kneecapper, which gives us 29k protection. So basically it makes us for the first 9 seconds of the rotation, they makes the shotgun tank pretty much immortal if you don't mess up. That's the same idea with Chaos. Dumbbox was using Immutable alongside the signature ability, and some passives interact with the Immutable and Aegis of Parallelism very well. And the Chaos basically pretty much gets it the same way. That's cool. But yeah, as you can see, the rotation is pretty involved. Like you start your rotation when the other tank is still tanking, So it's not easy. Like it's not as on live. On live, you have some sustained tanking. Like you use some cooldowns, but you only use them when you tank. Now the rotation becomes more intricate. When kneecapper is down, you use a gadget, and when gadget is down, you use reinforced shells for the last part of the rotation. So rotation is involves more skill out of the tanks.
Yeah.
That's the price to pay. Not everybody is gonna have the same experience. You know what I mean?
Sure. Sure.
So this has the merit to be pointed out. It's not that tanking is easy because the rotation by itself it can be learned, but when you couple the rotation with what's happening in phase 3, sometimes
Yeah.
personal space is
Exactly.
coming, sometimes shadow is coming, sometimes there is some NPC, middle NPC getting appointed, whatever.
Titan flags coming
Sometimes you
into
have to provoke
phase.
earlier if there is a personal space coming. You have to provoke early. You have to communicate with tanks. There is challenge. It's challenge in that rotation. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
easy. So yeah, we had some issues. We had some like tanks used to mess up. The like nobody's perfect. Phase 3 is hard and you can mess up. This is where healers really have like big work to do. If there is some messes up, some cooldowns are not used properly or on time,
Right.
kind
Right.
of there is kind of room for mistakes. That's fine. I think that's fine. Also, one more thing, we were using cooldown reduction for the elite, obviously, because the elite is 60 seconds baseline, and you tank every 20 seconds. Actually, a bit less. So with the cooldown reduction maxed, cooldown reduction signet, you get from 60 to 38 seconds. Okay. And with the added efficiency affix, you get the cooldown reduced to 27 seconds. Let's say 30 seconds. If you want to round up for like unlucky
Okay.
procs,
Sure.
So you tank for like 20 seconds every 40 seconds. So you get your elite if you use enough abilities when the other tank takes over you. Like when the other tank takes over you, you're not done. You're not slacking as a tank. You continue pumping up basics and some other abilities to proc efficiency to reduce the cooldown a bit. So that's that's kind of a nice gameplay. That's harder than on live. That's way harder.
Yeah.
You have some stuff to manage. That's kind of cool. And the healer, well, as I said, healing depends on the tanks. It's easy if tanks are very good, and if they don't mess
I
up.
like
It's
that.
hard if they mess up, and if you get double stacks,
I like that you see
it
Tome
becomes
refill
hard.
his potions in the middle of the fight right there.
Yeah. One other thing is that I threw out a statement last time we had the first session of the school session, right? I said something alongside of blood maybe being in a bad spot. I think I'd like to reiterate on this. I think that's not true. But next time, if we have an extra open beta phase, we're gonna test it. We're gonna test rifle healer and blood healer in the same attempt.
Oh wow, okay, that'd be cool.
And we're gonna test chaos tanking at the same time. So we actually get officially maybe hopefully a kill with different weapons this time, because right now basically the idea is that we're kind of familiar with mechanics, with the flow of the fight. We know what happens, so we won't be messing up because of external factors to the weapons themselves,
Sure.
And this is where we feel confident that we can actually try the weapons themselves and get an objective opinion about what they're worth. I think they're fine. I think they're rifle healing with grenades is by definition AoE healing, so you'll be mechanically healing your group just like perfectly fine. I think that's gonna be fine.
Right.
And blood healing is more single target oriented, but I think that communion might be enough for raid damage. The blood's elite. We have to test. We'll see how it goes. If it's not enough, we might have to take the blood power ability that AoE heals, whatever the name of it, I forgot. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Give it a go. I'm pretty confident. I think it's definitely possible without actually like sweating too much. I think should be fine.
Gotcha.
We'll see. That's it for tanking and healing, I think. Unless you've got some.
Let's see.
Some more stuff to add.
DPS.
Yeah, there are some things to say for DPS
stuff?
though. Yeah.
Shoot stuff. Don't shoot stuff when you're not supposed to shoot stuff.
Yeah. In terms of mechanics, DPS are quite busy between pods, between positioning, between golems. But there is one problem that like we've already noticed with some videos. DPS race. I feel like it's way too undertuned right now. Why is that? Basically, our first video shows a couple messes up. Like melee pod got stuck behind because we messed up.
Right.
We didn't wake up the NPC in time. We kind of were late a bit. There was some mistakes. The NPC got caught behind. That cost us at least like 30 seconds. Maybe half the raid was not DPSing or DPSing partially. One circle was missing. Some people were, without circle trying to unpod like me. I was trying to unpod, but the pod was healing itself. So that was messed up. That was messed up.
Sure.
In that try, we also in the middle of phase 3 we had lost our best single target DPS, which was Hammer Voltaic Shunt. And we still made it. So kill it.
Right.
Before Enrage.
So maybe a little too lenient.
Yeah. The second one, the 0.5% wipe, as I said, 2 DPS dead. One Muriel died middle of phase 3, maybe again. And Aunch died at the end. Still made it. With wings, it was technically like a kill. And yeah, I think that we have 2 issues there. One more general and one more specific to the raid. The more general one is that I feel like for the amount of work that the raid is supposed to take from healers and tanks, DPS aren't taxed enough from the output in terms of output. I feel like for the rest of the content in SWL, you aren't really like, how can I say it? We don't have, let's say we don't have that many DPS races in the game so far. Not many, if any at all. We have some, but Let's
I mean, we
let's
have
be
DPS
honest.
checks in dungeons, but they're only really DPS checks.
Not really. Even
Well,
there,
I was gonna
dungeons. Yeah,
qualify the statement. They're
I'd say
DPS checks.
dungeons are designed, around random people, as I said previously, queuing together. So the
Yeah.
DPS checks are kind of on the low bar. They have some.
But
Well,
also designed like at level, right?
yeah, true.
So there's a big difference if you like run, if you're say, I don't know, in an E10 dungeon and all 5 people are like at like 1001 item power, right? There definitely
Yeah.
are fights that are DPS checks.
After the rebalance,
I
a
mean,
little
I'm
bit,
saying on
but
live right now. On live right now.
on live, yeah. Well, yeah, on live, yeah,
If
sure.
you're in like if you're like 1000 IP, everyone is, and you're in E10 and you're like on Hellraised 4, that shit is
Not only
gonna
I
suck.
agree, not only I agree, I go as far as saying at some point in the SWL, maybe it was 1 year and a half ago, we had 3 minutes of enrage timer on Machine Tyrant. Machine Tyrant in E10 was not doable at level.
Yeah.
We were the first group to kill it. We had between 1.1 and 1.3 KIP.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we finished, I think, if my memory is not wrong, we finished that fight with like maybe 10 seconds spared from the range. And we were using quote unquote meta weapons, meta builds. We were out there, we were really hurting the Machine Tyrant.
Yeah,
at
its
some
timer
point
was
in
ridiculous for
the
like a
history of the
long
game,
time. It took forever for them to be like, oh, well, that timer should probably be longer.
Yeah. But in the rebalance in the beta right now, I don't know. It's.
I mean, I would say that yes, the bar is for pug groups, but I would also say that most of the testing, at least I did, was at like max stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't really go in the rebalance at like 1000 item power with a bunch of other people at 1000 and try and do E10.
Yeah.
I think it's probably doable. I would actually guess that there's still some fights that feel like DPS checks at that threshold.
Maybe, but let's get back to the raid debate. As we've been saying, the target audience is not random people anymore. It's more for organized groups. What organized means for me? Organized means people sort out who is putting exposed. Do you have 100% of uptime of exposed? Exposed is 10% extra DPS for everyone. That's insane.
Sure.
You have to sort out these kind of things. Do you have opening shots covered in both groups? Do you put debilitate? These kind of things is what organized groups sort out. For example, so these things all increase DPS. Well, debilitate increases obviously tanking survivability, and it's pretty important. It's very important to have. It's crucial. And I'd expect at this level from organized groups to also for people to be able to have experience from E10, from E5 raids.
Sure.
Because when you gear up, you discover raids, you try. And I'd expect the raid to be a progression based. Like you don't, even as an organized group, you don't get in and boom, you first try it. It's not,
right.
it's
No,
not
I 100% agree with that.
You have to work.
100% agree.
So
Put
while on let's say on the 10th try of your group, you're getting in phase 3, and like you're getting at the end, you reach the enrage. When while you keep trying, after 10, 20, 100 tries later, you get back to it. You don't reach the enrage anymore. You just kill it. What I mean is that you need to give time for DPS for damage dealers to familiarize themselves with timings, with how efficient they deal with pods, with placement, with field management, and everything like that.
Yeah.
The more tries people are doing, the more work, the more muscle memory they're acquiring, the better DPS output they're gonna acquire with time. And this is what the raids should be balanced around. This plus everything that the game has to offer. What I mean is that agents and museums should should matter. In dungeons, they
Right.
don't matter because the design says dungeons should have a buffer for the fact that people randomly queue up together, they don't know each
Right.
other, they have no
Sure.
communication. So the buffer is agents and museum. Okay. You no longer have this buffer for organized groups because they have vocal, they have everything. So agents and museums should be accounted for. From my calculations, I have a DPS simulator out there. With using if you use optimal agents, which is a new dawn agent plus 10% filth agents, they are really not hard to acquire. Like they're very easy to get. But by the time you're E17, you'll have them. Plus the museum. If you max the museum compared to have no museum, and if you have no agents compared to have min-maxed agents, that's extra 25% DPS. Boom. Just like that. That's a big chunk. Like a very, very big
especially
chunk.
if it's like, it's that per person, right? Yeah.
That's very, very, very chunky. So not only have to account for that, in my opinion, because like otherwise we can we can lose half of our DPS and still make it to the enrage. I feel like for a content like this, which is designed for organized groups, again, repeating myself, but it's how it is. The DPS, the damage dealers in this game aren't put through enough responsibility. When a tank dies, it's a wipe. When a healer dies, it's a wipe. When a DPS dies, it's not a wipe. When 2 DPS die, still not a wipe. How do you fix this? How do you make people more responsible for their work, for their participation? How do you do it? By increasing the HP requirements, by making people have to output some actual damage, This is why damage dealers are here for, right? They're here to deal damage. This is how you have to make DPS
I would say
responsible.
there's a little more responsibility in E17, just because, at least compared to E10 Live, because there's at least 2 more people to pick up. Right?
Yeah, true.
And
that's part of it. It's an equation, obviously. That's part of it.
And everyone has to place filth after Shadow. So they have to do something. But I still agree. I agree that yes, you shouldn't be able to just like slide into E17 with, subpar DPS and expect to get a kill. Like, you should have to actually be outputting a decent rotation.
One of the ideas that I had is that since the Alex circle is taxed because people have to place filth, maybe leave the circle at 175%, but reduce the other circles provided DPS, the buffs themselves, to something between the old value, 125%, or maybe 150%. That's one of the ideas. The fact that Alex circle will provide a bigger buff would maybe incentivize more people to get in that circle and to do some extra. Like it's a given for given, Get bigger buff, you have to do more work for it.
That's what he was gonna. I honestly thought that's what Nervel was gonna do in the first place, because we talked about the issue with the Alex circle not having enough of an incentive to use it, and then he just buffed all the circles, and I was like, okay, I mean, I guess that works sort of.
I think that was a mistake. In my opinion, it was a mistake. Although at the same time, the strategy we were using is that in the melee circle, we were putting our full single target DPS, one pistol DPS, and one blade or hammer DPS. Blade actually worked very well. Blade is awesome. Blade's awesome.
Like, it's probably overtuned. I expect it to come down a little bit.
Yeah, I hope not much though. Like
not much, but I think it's slightly
like it should parse above hammer, considering what hammer brings to the table in terms of group utility.
Right, yeah. Sword brings nothing but
slightly ahead of hammer. In my opinion,
Yeah, I agree.
And what we did is that we had dedicated melee DPS that were not unpodding, not killing golems, nothing like that. They were only focused on dealing steady damage. And they were indeed first on the parses. That's great. So I don't know about like how much difference in circle buffs should have to not invalidate the melee DPS too much, but at the same time, maybe like, should you only like keep 175%, for example, in melee circle and in Alex circle, but reduce the rose circle a bit? I don't know. Like, you have to think about the pro and the cons of making different buffs. The other thing, obviously, is increasing the overall HP of everything, just like that.
Sure.
Because, as I said, I think we had no agents, no museum. Have to account for those.
Right. No, that's true.
Have to account for those. That's for sure.
What did Nerval say when he came back? I'm changing a 1 to a 2.
I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know what 1 to what 2. But
it could be a combination of both. Both changing the circle buffs.
Yeah.
And increasing overall the HP of everything. Boom. Just like that. Although I'd argue that don't increase the HP of the pods too much. What I really like is the idea is that you can, provided you have an overwhelming power signet, that you can one-shot them with wings. So going above 600k is nope, that's too much, definitely. But like, well, currently they have 471k. Can buff them to like 500, 550k. That's fine. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Golems have 1.5 mil. If we count 25% difference, can make them 2 mil. It's gonna be fine. Also, yeah, I didn't say it, but golems in phase 3. I mean, with the tactics we used, they literally were getting obliterated. Like if the 4 rifle because we were using like melee DPS, pistol as said, and then 4 rifle DPS. We were keeping high explosive grenades for golems. If every rifle DPS, 4 of them use high explosive on the golem from birth circles, golem's dead. As simple as that. Golem's dead.
Yeah.
Eventually, if you're unlucky and you don't crit, you add some couple burst fires and it's dead. This is because of how the circles got buffed,
Sure.
175% is basically damage times 3. That's insane. Golems in phase 3 were obliterated on some of the attempts that we had. Golems comes in melee, boom, 2 seconds later it's dead. It's like, wow. Oh, something I forgot to tell about something that Nerval reworked. Hitbox. The hitbox of the lurker.
Oh yeah. Yes.
We forgot
that's super important. Okay.
Basically now when the golem comes in melee range, you can target it. That's fine. On live you can't because the lurker's hitbox is too big. So every shot goes on the lurker. Now it's longer. You still have to aim
too,
properly.
Right? Like you can target the pod easier.
Yeah.
It's
still not perfect. You have to really aim.
But I mean, it's like impossible.
Precisely,
it's impossible on live if you're staring at the lurker and there's a pod. Like you can't hit it. Like not a single target. You could drop like a Manny on it or something.
Yeah. But for the counterpart, it kind of makes the targeting on the lurker itself kind of weird. You have to target exactly the body of the lurker. Otherwise, your hits don't register. You have to kind of get used to it a little bit, but it's fine. It's good. It's good enough.
It's something they tried a while back. They tried like a fix, and they had to roll it back because they just broke it worse. If you remember that.
That's some QA adventures that Nerval can talk about, I guess.
It got pushed live. They did like an attempted fix to the hitbox. I forget
but they messed up something when they pushed it.
And like somehow it didn't get caught, and they pushed it live, and like it was.
Yeah.
It was really bad, and they had to like I think hot fix to remove it because it was so broken.
So due to this change,
actually works.
Due to this change, it's actually, at least with shotgun tanks, it's actually beneficial for golems to come to melee first. So the aggro is properly on the tanks, so they don't kill like a healer or a DPS.
Sure.
If DPS start DPSing the golems too early, when they're too far back, they're gonna get aggro because tanks are not tanking the golems yet. So the fact that the golems come in melee range, it's not detrimental anymore. That's cool. It's great. So it's great. So it's just awesome.
Yeah. That was a good one.
So yeah, my main point, just to synthesize this a little bit, my main point is that I feel like healers and tanks are put put a big responsibility on their shoulders, while I feel like damage dealers don't quite have the same level of responsibility put on themselves.
Right.
And I feel like
Well, I mean,
we
I think you
have
could
some room.
summarize it a little
We
bit.
have some room for improvement. The DPS rebounds might help in this regards. Okay.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that the DPS should necessarily be balanced throughout the weakest weapon right now, because when you're E17, let's say, I don't know how much the DPS rebounds will take. Hopefully, it won't take that long. Let's hope for the best, right?
I would say next year, sometime.
I hope, yeah.
Yeah.
What I mean is that when you're E17, you're supposed to kind of be able to at some point have the optimized setup as a DPS.
Yeah, for sure.
Even like, I know some people don't like playing rifle, don't like playing blade. I'm sorry, but right now, some weapons have more tools, simply more tools to deal with the New York E17 than others.
Well,
And
it's
yeah,
not.
I mean,
It's not crazy to expect that someone at E17 might have more than one weapon. Like, for the love of God, the amount of weapon distillates you have by that point, you should have more than one weapon.
Yeah.
There's no
And I
reason you
think
shouldn't.
like our first E10 year kill on live, I was using generic weapons. I have a maxed hammer. I had a maxed rifle. I had a maxed maybe even 2 rifles actually. I don't remember how many weapons I had. Generic signets. That went well. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Worst case, you remove the journeyman, because journeyman is quite the weakest of all 3 generics, right? You remove this one and you make an extra talisman with an extra specific signet for like 2 different weapons. And like the one you enjoy playing, but it's not optimal for your grade, and the one which is optimal for your grade, just make yourself an extra neck talisman.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Well, that's the whole
E17
point,
people,
right?
that's
Is
not
like
crazy
by
to expect.
E17,
Not,
you've done to get there in the first place. You've done so much content.
exactly, and it
It's
gets
not
easier.
unreasonable to expect you to have.
It gets easier to grind. E17 dungeons provide more juice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Not only that, once you're E17,
Yeah.
you can level up something new a lot quicker. But by the same token, just on the journey to get to E17, you should have more than enough, distillate from the journey to have multiple options.
And this plus buffs, group buffs and debuffs, tactics and everything, this is what I call the preparation phase.
Yeah.
Organized groups, they should figure out stuff, they should discuss, they should prepare before coming. This is a raid, this is supposed to challenge a little bit organized groups, not random people.
Right.
So preparation is also important, and like, in my opinion, bringing the right weapons that your cabal or raid leader tells you to bring is more important, and it should be taken care of. Like, in my opinion, when you do a raid, you're not out there to satisfy your own gameplay. Like, your first objective is to actually contribute to something, to a common goal, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes it goes towards you not playing your favorite weapon.
I'm not playing Blade on live.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone had to play pistol in the raid.
Sometimes this is what raids are about. You're no longer selfish. You're no longer playing for yourself. You're playing with people.
Right.
So you have to bring your contribution, right? Your work. You have to bring your intel. You have to train a new weapon and make it work. And here we go. DPS rebounds again. Hopefully, let's hope it will happen. Some other weapons might become, more viable, or actually beat some other weapons that I'm all for it, but right now we really need some DPS, some responsibilities put on damage dealers, because this is also why
I think you can kind of more easily summarize it though and just say that, and I think this should be fairly obvious. I know some people don't think this, but it should be fairly obvious. The raid is currently undertuned. Period. There's no way in a 2-week open beta, even with max gear, that a group should be able to kill the raid multiple times.
Without agents, without museum.
Right, without buffs that are available on live.
And without our setups. Some people had no mods, some people had fewer mods, misconfigured mods.
Right.
The character is not the same. You're not used to,
It's just
all these factors.
When I think about how long it took groups to clear E10 in the first place, and then how long it took to do multiple clears. Now, granted, you guys are building on the fact that you've had that experience of the E10 clears in the first place, right?
That's realistic to expect. You're coming from
but
E10,
yes,
right?
but that's what you expect. You expect people to be building on that. The point is that for the E17, it should be harder than E10, and I would make the argument right now it's not. It has additional mechanics that's fun, that's good, that's a nice layer. But as far as like difficulty to complete, if it's doable in 2 weeks, no, that's
pretty much.
And to be
healing
honest,
and tanking seem fine. Healing and tanking, we're pretty satisfied with the amount of work we put into it. It could seem in our videos that it's kind of easy, but it's not. There's
the
work
shotgun rotation
put behind.
looks insane to me. But it's just
Yeah.
bothersome to look at. You know what bothers me most about shotgun tanking is the shells reloading.
Well, blame Theck's UI for that. I'm not responsible.
No. Even Tome's view. What bothers me most about shotgun tanking is the fact that like your abilities go away for the shells, and then they come back. And as a tank, I want to be looking at my abilities all the time. I find that really like visually annoying.
That's no longer a case anymore because shotgun tanks now have guaranteed the green shells on their basic.
No, I know you can always pick the one you want. That's not what I mean. I just mean the fact that visually your abilities go away. So you can't see them, or you can't see their cooldown running. I mean, I guess you can have an effects UI for that. But like, my point is, it's visually disturbing to me on a personal level to see all the shit go away and come back repeatedly.
It's maybe a matter of getting some habits, play with it a little bit, and then you learn to play with it. It's
yeah. I do have the shotgun alt, but it's just it's the whole like it messes with the flow, man. Like shells. Oh, pick one now. Back. Back. And especially for me when I hit shit like shell salvage, and then like it ability queues. So it automatically picks the
I know what you mean.
Button under, and so you get this double flip that happens. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I know what you mean. That's hopefully will be addressed on DPS rebounds as well for design. However, for tanking, we got some improvements in this area. Bombardment with the passive, the tanking version bombardment, doesn't consume shells anymore. It's great.
Oh, that's
the signature ability of the shotgun, same deal. Don't consume any shells, nothing.
Consume shells.
It's great.
That's cool.
So the game, actually, the tanking gameplay, the tanking part of the shotgun now, personally, I enjoy it. It's great. And the passive, the 10% glance chance passive when you reload green shells, it's maybe it's kind of dumb to say, but a single passive which is strong enough like that, it actually makes you feel great when you reload. If you know what I mean? Because you get such a huge buff when you reload. It's great. It gives you a good feeling about reload, and this is what I hope to see for DPS part at some point.
Come and get me.
I also kind of dislike the noise though when you reload. It's not a shotgun noise. It's kind of a six shooter noise from a pistol.
Is it really? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't like it, but well, it's.
I know it has this particular sound, but yeah, maybe they need a new audio there.
Yeah, so in terms of DPS, yeah.
I mean, I actually changed the topic to balance because we kind of just veered from DPS like straight into balance.
Yeah, so saying tanking healing seems fine. Because like if you increase the damage output even more on the tanks, you're gonna run into a situation where if you want to choose the best tanks, considering how much work they already have to output, probably not a good idea. Healing seems also fine if it leaves some room for mistakes, when tanks get double stacks or tanks mess up, and that's fine because as I said, if a tank dies, it's a wipe. If a healer dies, it's a wipe. So I feel like having some room, not much, some room, is fine for tanks and healers. For DPS,
Yeah.
there needs to be more.
For DPS,
more juice.
legitimately, it's just a bit undertuned. I think that's a fair assessment.
Something worth noting for tanks and healers as well is agents again. On live,
true.
Gonna have extra protection, extra evading glance maybe. That's also another buffer. So I don't know about that. Healers will get extra crit power, which will be uncapped. So soft cap, like you can slot agents with crit power, and
Right.
without necessarily reaching the soft cap yet. So heroes will have more crit power. Yeah, that's also a small buffer. But the DPS buffer, yeah, the raid needs to be tuned around the DPS buffer. 25% more DPS, that's insane. The raid needs more HP, definitely.
No, for sure. I 100% agree with that. All right, we just hit the 2-hour mark, so.
Oh wow!
Do we want to? I mean, I think we covered most of it. Do you want to like wrap up? Anything you want to say, or feel that we maybe missed, or just a note to end on?
This guy is the doctor. His shirt says. That's it. That's all I have to say.
That's your note.
Respect the doctor, guys. Respect the doctor. Here we go.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that was pretty good. I think we covered a lot of stuff. I learned something. I didn't know there was raid damage. I hadn't tested the raid since that got added.
Yeah, and it's our fault because we were solo healing it, and Yervel didn't appreciate this.
This guy's fault right here.
Yeah, you can blame me for this.
But I actually really like that. That's cool. That's another added mechanic.
It's great.
So,
the game needs more of this. More damage. More group damage. Let's go.
So hopefully I learned something. Hopefully everyone watching learned something. And, hopefully we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.